His fiancée was gone. Julian Thorne stood alone on the altar, watching as Lydia Beaumont, in her brilliant white wedding dress, sprinted towards a beat-up old motorcycle. He didn't move a muscle. She swung her leg over the cracked leather seat, her face glowing with an ecstatic, wild energy. "Julian, just let me have this one last crazy moment," she yelled over her shoulder, her smile dazzling. "I promise after this I'm all yours. I'll do whatever you say." The driver was Marcus Stone, her guy best friend. He gunned the engine and they peeled out onto the road, a blur of white tulle and chrome. "How's it feel to be a runaway bride?" Marcus shouted over the roar of the engine. "Like my life is finally complete." Lydia screamed back into the wind. A small, wry smile touched Julian's lips. "Yeah," he murmured to himself. "Mine too, I think." "Lydia, you and I are over." He calmly took the microphone from the wedding officiant. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, his voice steady, "my apologies for the unexpected turn of events. I hereby announce that the marriage between the Beaumont and Thorne families is officially canceled." "Son, please. Lydia's just being foolish. I'll get her back here right now. I'll make her apologize," Mr. Beaumont said, mopping his brow with a handkerchief. "No need, sir. From this day forward, our families can go their separate ways." "Julian, please, give her a chance. She's just a kid at heart. She doesn't know any better," her father pleaded. Julian ignored him, addressing the stunned guests. "Please, everyone, eat, drink, and enjoy yourselves today. Everything's on me." Later that night, he stood in a new condo they were supposed to share, a bitter taste in his mouth. He wasn't the type to beg or make a scene. He was rational. Lydia had made her choice, and he wouldn't cling to a sinking ship. Rip off the Band-Aid. That was his motto. He picked up his phone. "Hey," he said to his assistant, "3 things. First, terminate all our contracts with Beaumont Innovations immediately. Second, put this condo on the market. I want it sold by the end of the week. Third, arrange for the engagement ring to be returned." "Yes, Mr. Thorne," she replied without hesitation. After a long, hot shower, he scrolled through Instagram. Lydia's feed was a chaotic explosion of posts. Runaway bride. Took a leap for one last taste of freedom. No regrets, live your life. A picture of her in the wedding dress, praying with mock seriousness in a tiny, bizarre roadside chapel. "Pretty sure I'm the first bride to get a blessing at the chapel of the Holy Cow. LOL. Then a cascade of stories. Playing ping pong at a dive bar, riding a roller coaster at an amusement park, shrieking in a haunted house. All in an increasingly grubby wedding dress. He let out a short, sharp laugh and shut his phone off. "Go on, have your fun," he thought. "One day you'll realize how childish this all was." He knew Lydia. She was impulsive, carefree, and hated being tied down. He'd known it for years. He'd often wondered if marrying someone so untethered was a good idea. The answer was a resounding no. He'd thought about ending it, struggled with it, but ultimately convinced himself to give her one last chance. Maybe marriage would teach her about responsibility, about consequences, about boundaries. He was wrong. She would never grow up. Today's stunt was a blessing in disguise. It severed any lingering attachment he might have had. He was once drawn to her wild spirit, found it charming, but after years of it, he was just tired. So incredibly tired. There was no communicating with her, he'd come to realize. Her personality was suited for a friend, not a life partner. He opened his laptop and dove back into company reports. Before he knew it, it was 2 in the morning. He glanced at his phone. Her Instagram story was still active, a nonstop party. He shook his head wearily, turned off the phone, and went to sleep. The next day, it was business as usual. He walked into the office with a smile, greeting his colleagues just like any other morning. They stared at him with a mixture of pity and awe. Didn't his fiancée just leave him at the altar? One whispered. "See, that's the difference between us and the boss. He's completely unruffled. God, I wish I had that kind of composure." Julian heard them, a slight smile playing on his lips. This was who he was, compartmentalized, incredibly rational. It wasn't that he wasn't sad. He had been, once. He'd been jealous, hurt, and angry when she got too close to other guys. They'd fought about it, but she never changed, and eventually, he just stopped. He let go. Marrying her was more about fulfilling a sense of obligation than passion, and then she'd done this. She'd set him free. His secretary placed a coffee on his desk. Thanks, Mr. Thorne, what is it? You seem completely fine. He smiled faintly. What would you have me do? Throw a tantrum? Yell at everyone to blow off steam? What would that solve? Well, I guess you have a point. Exactly. It happened. Nothing you do after the fact can change it. But you're so calm. I'm rational. I'm past the age for pointless drama. Right? About the Beaumont Innovations partnership. It's canceled. Issue a new request for proposals. She gave a knowing smirk. What's that look for? You think this is revenge? Her expression screamed. Isn't it obvious? We were only considering them in the first place because my dad said we should help out the family now that we were merging. The wedding is off, so we go back to the standard, merit-based process. Understood. As she left, his father walked in. Dad, what are you doing here? Came to see if you were holed up in here licking your wounds. Looks like your mother knows you better than I do. You have that little faith in your son? Hey, I was just worried about you, kid. Don't be. I'm not that fragile. Good to hear. Well, in that case, I'm off to play chess with Mr. Davies. By the way, about the company's stuff, you do what you have to do. I know, Dad. Think you can beat him this time? Don't get me started. The old fox must have been taking lessons somewhere. I can barely keep up with him lately. Well, you're on your own. My chess game can't help you. I wouldn't expect help from a chess-illiterate rookie like you anyway. After work, his dad called and asked Julian to pick him up. As he walked into Davies' sprawling garden, he could hear the two old men arguing. A move made is a move made. No take-backs. That's cheating. So what? Just let me have it. Letting you win is an insult to your intelligence. I don't mind being insulted. What's going on here? A young woman's voice cut in. Julian stopped in his tracks. Clara, look at your father, an old man acting like a child. What's wrong with letting me have one move? Dad, you can't cheat. Mr. Thorne took time out of his day to play with you. The least you can do is not make him angry. I just made one bad move, Mr. Davies grumbled. A mistake is a mistake, Dad. Just think more carefully next time. See? Your daughter has more sense than you do, Mr. Thorne said with a laugh. Dad, Mr. Thorne, I had the kitchen make some spiced apple cider. Why don't you two come inside and have a drink? Clara offered. Oh, wonderful. My favorite. Mr. Thorne's grin stretched from ear to ear. Julian walked over. Dad, Mr. Davies, Clara. Julian, you're here to pick up your dad? Yeah. I heard about Lydia. Are you okay? She asked, her voice soft with concern. I'm fine. It was her choice. I'm glad you see it that way. See, William, Mr. Davies said to Julian's father. I love this about your boy. Cool as a cucumber, even in a crisis. And I love how thoughtful your Clara is. If you hadn't sent her to study abroad for all those years, who knows? Our kids might have ended up together. Don't I know it? I still regret sending her away for so long. Dad, Clara blushed. Could you please not talk about that? Julian's right here. Oh, don't mind him. He's more logical than any of us. It's okay, Julian said. Mr. Davies knows me well. See? You know, old friend, maybe we should, Dad, we should get going. Julian interrupted, knowing exactly where that conversation was headed. All right. We'll talk next time, Mr. Davies, Clara. Goodbye. Bye, Julian. Bye, Mr. Thorne. On the drive home, his father started in again. Clara is such a wonderful girl, so considerate. Why couldn't you two have hit it off? It's a real shame. Dad, aren't you tired? Not at all. You know what would really give me energy? A big, chubby grandson. And we're back to that again, Julian sighed. Finally, on the 5th day, Lydia returned home, her wedding dress now a tattered mess. She walked into her parents' mansion to find them sitting in stony silence in the living room. Mom? Dad? What's wrong? You have the nerve to ask that? You've embarrassed us beyond belief, running away from your own wedding. Why didn't you answer your phone? Her father roared. Oh, that? I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I didn't want to be bothered. It's not a big deal. We could just reschedule the ceremony in a couple of days. Reschedule, her mother exclaimed. How old are you? You still act like a child. Do you think marriage is a game? She sighed, shaking her head. Her daughter was a good person, but she had no sense of proportion, forever a child who thought nothing really mattered. Lydia, you can be wild all you want. Your father and I usually let it slide, but this time you went too far. It's fine. I'll just talk to Julian. We'll reschedule, and it'll be fine. It's not fine, her father snapped. The Thorns have officially called off the engagement. The ring has been returned, and their company terminated our partnership this morning. What? That's impossible. Don't worry, I'll call Julian right now. Lydia, maybe you should, her mother started. Let her call, her father said, his voice grim. It's time she learned that actions have consequences. It's time she learned to face the music. He stormed out of the room. Lydia, unfazed, pulled out her phone and dialed Julian's number. It connected. Hello. Julian, where are you? Working late? What's up? Let's reschedule the wedding for the day after tomorrow. I got all out of my system. I promise I'll be the perfect wife now. Oh, well, that's good to hear. But I think we should just call it off for good. Lydia's smile froze on her face. Julian, what do you mean? I mean, we're not getting married. Let's just be friends. Why? We promised each other forever. How can you go back on your word? Forever? Let's nod and say we did. You seem to be having a great time, didn't you? So you're angry? I'm not angry. You made a choice, and you have to be responsible for that choice, right? You say you're not angry, but you are. I know I went too far this time, and I'm sorry. I just wanted to put a period on the end of my youth so I could focus completely on you. So, did you put a period on it? I did. That's why I came back to marry you. Great, because I put a period on us too. See, everybody wins. You're not joking, are you? When have I ever joked about things like this? A knot of panic tightened in Lydia's chest. He wasn't joking. This was real. Julian, listen to me. I'm not messed up. I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad. I swear, from now on, I'll listen to everything you say, okay? Please, just stop being like this. I'm not being like this. You said you needed one last crazy adventure. Did I stop you? Did I bother you once while you were gone? You and Marcus were gone for 5 full days. You look happy. Marcus and I are just friends. He's my best friend. You know that. I swear. You know me. I'm just impulsive. I'm selfish. Her voice broke and she started to cry. Lydia, we're not kids anymore. We have to be responsible for our choices. That was it. The line went dead. Lydia stood there, phone in hand, completely stunned. Was I really wrong? I just didn't want to have any regrets. Why can't you understand that? The tears she'd been holding back finally streamed down her face. She threw herself onto her bed, sobbing. I don't believe it. I don't believe you'd just throw away all these years we had together. She got up, showered, and fell into a deep, exhausted sleep. The next morning, she got up, put on makeup, and drove to their condo, the one they were supposed to call home. When she arrived, movers were carrying furniture out onto a truck. She ran up to them. What are you doing? Why are you moving our things? Ma'am, the owner sold the place. We're just the movers. Sold it? Who told you it was sold? This is my home. You can't do this. The foreman sighed and called the building manager. Ms. Beaumont, didn't Mr. Thorne tell you? He finalized the sale 2 days ago. The title has already been transferred. 2 days ago? What was she doing 2 days ago? She was in an amusement park with Marcus, screaming her head off on a roller coaster. A wave of guilt washed over her, followed by a tidal wave of panic. She fumbled for her phone and called Julian. Hello. What is it, Lydia? Julian, you sold the condo. I did. Why? The engagement is off, and I've decided I'm not ready to get married right now. So I sold it. I don't agree to call off the engagement, Julian. I know you're angry. Can we please just sit down and talk about this? Lydia, I'm almost 30. We're not children anymore. Are you saying I act like a child? His silence was her answer. Lydia, we're really over. Why? Why are you doing this? There is no why. We're adults. We have to take responsibility for the paths we choose. Julian, are you really just going to throw away all our years together? You're the one who threw them away. You're still angry, fine, he said, his voice flat and tired. If it makes you feel better, believe that I'm angry. But it doesn't change the outcome, does it? Julian, you know me. You know I'm impulsive. I thought you would always tolerate it. I get tired, Lydia. I'm so tired. Maybe we just aren't right for each other. Tired? Go find Marcus. I think you two are a much better match. Goodbye. He hung up. No. The dial tone buzzed in her ear. Lydia walked aimlessly down the street, a hollow feeling echoing in her chest. Memories of their time together flashed through her mind. It felt like a vital part of her had been carved out. Her eyes stung. Was I really that wrong? She saw a young couple nearby, playfully arguing. You're not allowed to go to the movies with any other girls, the girl said. And you're not allowed to go to amusement parks with other guys, he retorted. You can't accept letters from other girls. You can't accept flowers from other guys. Lydia, bewildered, walked up to them. Why not? What's wrong with that, between friends? The girl looked at her like she'd grown a second head. Lady, have you ever been in a relationship? Love is selfish. It's not something you share. Nobody wants the person they love getting flirty with someone else, not even friends, especially not friends. Love is about possession. What if someone did all those things? Then it means they don't really have their partner in their heart. That's why they don't care if they hurt them. Hurt them? But what if it's purely platonic? It doesn't matter who the other person is. If you're too close with someone of the opposite sex, you're hurting your partner, period. No buts. Love is a two-way street. If only one person is putting in the effort, it's doomed to fail. A two-way street. Look, lady, try putting yourself in his shoes, the girl said. What if your boyfriend was always hanging out with another girl, sharing a milkshake, going shopping, seeing movies, going to amusement parks together? How would you feel? I've never thought about it. Well, maybe you should, the boy chimed in. What would happen to a boyfriend if his girlfriend did all that? Lydia asked. Babe, you take this one, the girl said, nudging him. He cleared his throat. Okay, so at first, I tried to talk to her about it seriously. If she kept doing it anyway, ignoring how I felt, I'd just get worn out. I'd start to lose faith in the relationship. The love would just fade. Eventually, I'd have to let go and walk away. Lydia's heart clenched as if a fist had squeezed it. Okay, what if, she pressed, her voice trembling slightly. What if your fiancé ran out on your wedding with another man? Not a lover, just a friend? What would you do? The boy's eyes went wide. What? Left me at the altar for another guy? If she's going to ruin my life, I'd ruin hers right back. Honestly, I might do something crazy, drag them both down with me. For a man, that is the ultimate humiliation. It's like having your face ground into the dirt in front of everyone you know. You'd have to live with the whispers and the jokes forever. Even your family would be ashamed. Lydia staggered back, clutching her chest. The girl steadied her. I don't think any guy could ever accept that. His bride running off, the boy added. Even if she didn't mean anything by it. Are you okay, miss? The girl asked. Yes, thanks. If a girl did all that but she never cheated, would the guy forgive her? Depends on his breaking point, I guess, the boy said, shrugging. But me? No way. And I bet most guys would say the same. Why? Because my heart would be dead to her. If someone can do something that irresponsible, they're either a complete narcissist or totally untrustworthy. Why would you keep someone like that around? The color drained from Lydia's face. She finally understood why Julian had been so calm, so decisive. It wasn't anger. He was just done. His heart had died. What if, she asked, her voice barely a whisper, what if a guy used to be super strict with you, really possessive, but then he just stopped caring? That means you're not an option for him anymore, the girl said gently. He was possessive because he loved you. He got jealous and angry when he saw you with other guys. When he stops caring, it means you don't matter anymore. He doesn't care what you do. Lydia's heart hammered against her ribs, her body trembling. I see. Thank you. No problem. Come on, babe, let's go. Bye, lady. The couple walked away hand in hand, sharing a single drink. Lydia stood there for a long time. He stopped caring because he stopped loving me. That's why he seemed so indifferent. The thought was terrifying. No, it can't be. Did her grand escape inflict an unforgettable wound on Julian? She'd left him to face the gossip, the pitying looks, the judgment, all by himself. How helpless must he have felt? Love is selfish. It's possessive. It's not for sharing. A montage of scenes flashed in her mind. Everything that young couple had described, she had done with Marcus. And she had never once stopped to think, what if Julian had a female friend like Marcus? What if he was the one who left her at the altar for another woman? She shook her head, unable to bear the thought, imagining it was suffocating. And yet she had actually done it to him. She gasped for breath, clutching her chest. I was wrong. I was so wrong, Julian. I'm sorry. I didn't understand boundaries. In that moment, she finally grasped the depth of the pain her thoughtlessness had caused him. And she had been completely oblivious. She started running, sprinting toward Julian's office building, a desperate need to fix everything propelling her forward. There has to be a chance, she panted. If I apologize, if I tell him I was wrong, maybe it's not too late. But she wasn't sure. His attitude had been so final. He'd already sold their home. A deep, cold dread enveloped her. She reached his company's building just in time to see Julian and Clara Davies walking out of the main entrance, laughing about something. They said their goodbyes and Clara drove off. Lydia immediately ran up and grabbed his arm. "Julian, what are you doing here? Can we please talk?" Julian glanced at his watch. 30 minutes. There's a coffee shop around the corner. Sitting across from him, Lydia wrung her hands. "I'm sorry, Julian. I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so selfish, so reckless, so completely thoughtless about your feelings." Seeing him laughing with Clara had sparked a jealous rage inside her, a feeling so intense it took her breath away. And she had done things 100 times more intimate with Marcus. The regret was a physical ache. "It's fine. It's in the past. It just proves we weren't right for each other. Julian, I know what I did was horrible. I was so wrong, and I regret it more than anything. Can we please try again? Let's have another wedding. I swear, from now on, whatever you say goes. I'll listen to you, I promise." She raised her right hand as if taking an oath, her expression deadly serious. Julian looked at her for a long moment, then gently pushed her hand down. "Lydia, we're really over." "Why? Why can't you give me a chance to make it up to you?" "Because I don't love you anymore." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. "What? When you ran off, I thought I'd be devastated. But I wasn't. I was just angry. Angry that you could still be so impulsive at a moment like that. I'll change. I'll change everything. You don't like me hanging out with Marcus? I'll block his number right now. You want a quiet life? I'll stay home with you. Just don't leave me," she begged, tears streaming down her face, her grip on his hand desperate. "Lydia, the biggest problem isn't Marcus. It's that I don't have feelings for you anymore. How can you not have feelings? We were so in love. How do we get to this point? I know. I've asked myself that same question 1,000 times. How'd it get this bad? Why? I didn't get it at first, but now I do. Remember how I used to get so angry when you went out with other guys? How I'd lose my temper? Yes, it happened a few times. But after a while, when you started going out with him again, did I ever say anything? No. At first, it made me anxious and furious. I felt this crushing weight on my chest. But slowly, over time, that feeling just disappeared. Ding. The young girl's words from the street echoed in her head. When he stops caring, it means you don't matter anymore. She tightened her trembling grip on his wrist. Julian continued, his voice void of emotion. "It wasn't until you left me at the altar that I finally understood. My heart didn't feel a thing. Not a single pang of pain, just cold anger. And I knew right then that you weren't in my heart anymore." Lydia was openly weeping now, her vision blurred. "How did this happen? It's my fault. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been so selfish. I shouldn't have ignored your feelings. I shouldn't have had such poor boundaries with Marcus. It's done, Lydia. We both need to move on. My 30 minutes are up. I have a client meeting." He stood and walked toward the door. "Julian," she called out, her voice cracking. "This time, let me be the one who loves you with everything I have. Can you just love me one more time?" He didn't stop. He didn't look back. He just walked a little faster. After that day, Lydia was a different person. She stopped wearing heavy makeup, stopped going to bars and clubs. She threw herself into her work at her family's company, learning to patiently solve problems she would have once ignored. In the process, she started to understand the meaning of responsibility. After work, her new hobby was learning to cook. "I did it," she cheered, dancing around the kitchen. It was the 20th new dish she'd mastered. She carefully packed her best creations into a container and drove to Julian's office. "Julian, I made these for you. I hope you like them." She held the container out to him, her hands trembling slightly. He took it, his eyes falling on the small, red burn marks that dotted her hands and wrists. He frowned. "Your hands." Lydia quickly hid them behind her back. It's nothing. Just try the food." He took a bite. "It's good." A smile bloomed on her face. "Don't do this again." The smile froze and shattered. You don't like it? That's not it. This is just inappropriate. Julian, I'm really trying to change. Please, just believe me. That's not the point. Our relationship makes this inappropriate. You should go, and don't come back." He handed the container back to her and disappeared into a conference room. Lydia walked out of the building in a daze, a profound sense of powerlessness washing over her. This is so much harder than I thought. As she left, She heard the whispers from his employees. Isn't that the fiancé who ran out on him? What's she doing here? Trying to win him back after all that. I heard she ran off with her guy best friend for like a week. Ugh, seriously? Guy best friend? That's just code for side piece. What a joke. The nerve of her to show her face around here. Lydia managed a bitter smile. Hearing just a few sentences felt like daggers. How many rumors and insults had Julian endured? A needle only hurts when it pierces your own skin. She finally understood. Even if she and Marcus were completely innocent, in the eyes of the world she had branded herself, and Julian was the poor guy who got cheated on and humiliated on his wedding day, a joke for the rest of his life. The thought made her sick with regret, hating herself for her incredibly irresponsible actions. I can't give up, she told herself, her resolve hardening. He put up with my nonsense for so long. I have to be just as persistent. She took a deep breath. You can do this, Lydia. Fight for your happiness. She continued to bring him lunch every day. When she couldn't see him, she'd leave a note with the food at the front desk. But the business partnership between the Thorne and Davies families grew stronger. Julian and Clara were seen together more and more often, arriving and leaving work at the same time, until they were nearly inseparable. After only a month, Lydia was at her breaking point. She finally understood. This is what it feels like to see the person you love being close with someone else. This anxiety, this constant ache in your chest. Is this what Julian felt all those years? She had tried everything she could think of to make amends, but it had almost no effect. Julian remained cold and distant. She was starting to understand. It's so hard to win back someone's heart. I can barely last a month. But you endured this for 3 whole years before you finally gave up a love that should have been hers. So easily. She had pushed away again and again with her selfishness and impulsiveness, until it was completely out of reach. Every time Lydia saw him laughing with Clara, eating with her, working with her, walking with her, it was like a knife twisting in her gut. She could only watch from a distance, consumed by jealousy and insecurity. At night, she'd wake up from nightmares, her mind replaying images of the two of them together, unable to fall back asleep. She began to spiral, her thoughts growing darker. How far have they gone? Have they held hands? Kissed? The agonizing feeling was a constant torment. I can't take it anymore, she screamed into her pillow one night. Julian, is this what it felt like for you? She finally understood his pain. It was unbearable. I was such a terrible girlfriend, she sobbed, tears soaking her pillowcase. But she couldn't give up. This was a mess of her own making, and she had to be the one to fix it. The next day, she pulled herself together and continued her quest. She had a pair of custom diamond rings made, one for him and one for her. She planned to propose to him at his birthday party. On the day of the party, she walked in holding a bouquet of roses and the ring box, imagining the look on his face when he happily accepted. But as soon as she entered the ballroom, she heard a crowd chanting, "Say yes, say yes, say yes." Lydia followed the sound and saw Julian on one knee, holding out a ring to Clara Davies. Clatter! The roses slipped from her hand and scattered across the floor. Her heart stopped. In that frozen moment, all she could think was that she was about to lose him forever. Without thinking, she pushed through the crowd. "You can't propose to her," she yelled. Every head in the room turned to look at her. She stumbled forward and grabbed Julian's arm. "Julian, you can't do this." "Why not?" he asked, his voice cold. "Because you're supposed to marry me." "I was, but you already made your choice when you ran away, remember? That was a mistake. I was being impulsive, and I know that now. I love you, Julian. I really, truly love you. I can't live without you." The tears she'd been holding back burst forth, her hands shaking as she clung to him. "But I don't love you anymore, Lydia," he said, his voice gentle but firm. Her world tilted. "How can you not love me after all these years? There has to be a chance. All those years just prove one thing. How you managed to slowly, piece by piece, kill every last bit of love I had for you." Lydia froze, her expression shattering. A terrifying panic seized her. "Lydia, please don't do this," Clara said softly from beside them. Lydia turned, grabbing onto Clara's arm as if she were a lifeline. "Clara, we've known each other since we were kids. Please don't accept his proposal. Please." "Lydia, we've all known each other a long time. Can you please stop making a scene?" Julian said, his patience wearing thin. I don't want to, but I don't have a choice. Lydia's voice was a ragged sob, her body trembling. You think I want to do this? I have no other choice. I'm out of options. Clara looked at Lydia's broken form and sighed. Why'd it have to come to this, Lydia? When Julian loved you, why didn't you cherish it? Now just let him go, okay? Lydia clenched her fists, waving them in the air as if fighting off an invisible demon. I can't. You think I haven't tried? I thought about setting him free, but I can't do it. Every time I think about losing him, my heart it hurts so much. She shook her head violently, tears flying. But I don't love you anymore, Lydia. Her head snapped back to Julian. How can you not love me? Do you love Clara? But she's in love with someone else. How do you know the person I love isn't Julian? Clara asked quietly. What did you say? Lydia turned to Clara, her face a mask of disbelief. I said the person I love is Julian. I always have. But back then, he loved you, so I had to hide my feelings. Now that he's let you go, I'm choosing to fight for my own happiness. Why? Clara, you. Lydia, I never wanted to take him from you. If you two had been happy, I would have wished you the best. But he's moved on, so I'm taking my chance. You told me you were in love with me? Julian asked Clara, looking genuinely surprised. Yes, Julian, I've always loved you. No, you're lying. Lydia insisted. You told me you loved the boy who saved you from kidnappers when you were a kid, the one who got that long scar on his arm. Her voice trailed off as Julian slowly rolled up his sleeve. On his wrist was a long, faded white scar. Lydia's eyes widened. How is that possible? Why did I never know? Because you never really tried to know me, Julian said softly. Do you know what my favorite flower is? Roses. No, he said. Clara spoke up without hesitation. Sunflowers, she said, her voice warm. Because they symbolize brilliance, loyalty, and adoration. They also represent bravely pursuing your own happiness and a silent, devoted love. How did you know that? Julian asked, staring at her. Because I've always been watching you, Julian. My eyes were never on anyone else. Impossible. This is impossible. You're all lying to me. Lydia cried, shaking her head frantically. It's over, Lydia, Julian said, his voice filled with a final, weary sadness. And just so you know, everything you just listed, those are all Marcus's favorites. Lydia clawed at her own hair, stumbling backward, muttering to herself. Impossible. How could I not know? Ha ha ha, I didn't know. I really didn't know. Ha ha ha. As Julian slipped the engagement ring onto Clara's finger, something inside Lydia finally broke. Laughing and crying at the same time, she turned and fled from the ballroom. For a long time after that, no one saw Lydia. She reappeared on the day of Julian and Clara's wedding, dressed in a magnificent white gown of her own. She waited until the moment they were about to exchange rings, then rushed onto the stage. Julian, I'm begging you. Just give me one more chance. Look, she held up a leather-bound journal. Inside, every page was filled with meticulous notes on Julian's likes and dislikes. She then held up a tablet playing a video of a vast, 1,000-acre field of sunflowers that she had planted with a team of landscapers. Then, a video she had filmed herself played on a large screen behind the altar. Julian Cole, her image on the screen said, her voice thick with emotion, I know my past recklessness hurt you deeply, but that was never my intention. My heart has always loved you. I was just too selfish and immature to see it, too lost in my own world to consider your feelings. I was too late in understanding. Now, in front of everyone, I swear to God that from this day forward, I will devote my entire life to you. My heart and my eyes will see only you. If I break this vow, may I be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. All I ask is for one more chance to love you. Will you marry me? The video ended. In person, Lydia dropped to one knee, holding up the pair of custom rings. Julian Cole, please marry me, she cried out. Clara stood beside him, her brow furrowed, looking at Julian with uncertainty. I'm sorry, Lydia, I can't marry you, Julian said. Clara's tense expression relaxed into a gentle smile. Why? Lydia's heart plunged into an icy abyss. When you abandoned me time and time again, when you took Marcus to all the places I told you I dreamed of visiting, when you ran away from our wedding with him, in those moments, it became impossible. With every word he spoke, the color drained from Lydia's face until she was ghostly white. Please, stop, she whispered. I know I was wrong. I was horrible. I swear there was never anything between me and Marcus. I never did anything to betray you. None of that matters anymore, Lydia, because in the process of you ignoring me again and again, my heart emptied itself of you. There's nothing left. The person I love now is Clara. Being with her, I've learned what love is supposed to feel like. It's happy. It's peaceful. You don't have to live in constant fear. It's about mutual support and unconditional security. I'm happy with her, so please let me go. This isn't how it's supposed to be, Lydia mumbled, her body trembling on the verge of collapse. What's lost is lost forever. Her mother could no longer stand to watch. She went up and pulled Lydia to her feet. Honey, give up. It's really over. But I can't let him go. Lydia's cries were ragged, torn from the depths of her soul. Julian, is there really no chance for us? Julian just shook his head, his expression firm and resolute. Her parents half-carried, half-dragged the nearly hysterical Lydia from the venue. Sweetheart, sometimes letting go and wishing someone well is also a form of love, her mother said gently. Wish him well, but the person standing next to him should be me. But you're the one who pushed him away, aren't you? Yes, I did. I pushed him away, she sobbed. It's my fault, Mom. My heart hurts so much. It hurts so bad. What do I do? Forgive him, and forgive yourself. It was only then that Lydia truly understood. Julian had been like the air she breathed. You never notice it when it's there, but the moment it's gone, you suffocate. A line from an old poem came to mind. You never know how love begins, but it grows ever deeper. From that day on, Lydia locked herself away in her family's mansion, spending her days in tears. She wrote down every memory she had of Julian, reading them over and over, each word a fresh stab of pain, each memory a new wave of regret. A year passed. Lydia emerged more mature, more serious, more responsible. She had endured the heartache and forced herself to let Julian go. When Marcus came to see her, she turned him away, ending their friendship for good. The fault wasn't his, she realized. It was hers, for being so naive and reckless. Are you blaming me? I thought we were best friends. I don't blame you. I blame myself for being so selfish, for not caring about anyone's feelings but my own, for not considering Julian. But we were just friends. It doesn't matter. If we were, when our interactions crossed a line to everyone else, especially to the person who loved me, it just looked like an emotional affair disguised as friendship. I realized that far too late. So, you're ending our friendship? I'm not ending it. I'm making a choice. Marcus left. Maybe their friendship had been pure, but once it crossed a certain boundary, it became an ambiguity that no partner could be expected to endure. She poured all her energy into the family business, using the endless work to numb the pain. Watching her parents grow older day by day, she finally understood what responsibility and duty meant. She saw how childish her selfish whims had been. She had failed as a girlfriend, failed as a fiancée, and committed the absurd, unforgivable act of running away from her own wedding. Her actions had even torpedoed a major partnership for her family's company. It was pathetic. She had no integrity. After 2 years of hard work, she had turned the company around. She went home on time every evening. Looking at her graying parents, she felt a pang of guilt for never having been a truly responsible daughter. For the sake of a so-called youth with no regrets, she had done so many childish, irresponsible, and idiotic things. Only now did she realize that her quest to have no regrets had created the single biggest regret of her entire life. Every time she thought of it, she couldn't help but laugh at herself. What an idiot. You got exactly what you deserved, she thought. She thought she could forget Julian, but whenever she caught a glimpse of him somewhere in the city, the familiar, heart-wrenching pain would return. And at night, the memories would flood back, a relentless tide. She couldn't stop. She didn't know how long this torture would last. The only thing she could do was resist the urge to interfere in Julian and Clara's life. She couldn't bear the thought of him hating her. If I could just have one more chance, do it all over again, she would whisper to herself in the dark. I wouldn't be so reckless. I wouldn't leave him. I wouldn't ignore him. I would marry him, have children with him. But there were no do-overs. She had finally learned the truth of that old saying. You have to walk the path you choose, even if you have to crawl, even if it leads off a cliff, because no one will be waiting for you back where you started.